Loveland, Colorado, a city of about 70,000 people that sits about 50 miles north of Denver. Home to 65-year-old William Connole. William had 3 children and 6 grandchildren, and his sister Mary said he was the protector and really the glue of the family. He had a quick wit, and everyone in his circle said his outrageous sense of humour was legendary, as was his love of loud prints on shirts and crazy socks. Travis, William's son, said that his father had worked his whole life, having served in the military, and then right into a long career working in tech. He had just received his first social security check after finally starting to slow things down and move into retirement. But he didn't want to stop completely. He was a skilled craftsman, and now with some more time on his hands, he had been working towards opening his own woodworking business. Despite facing difficult times, including fighting cancer, he was always a glass half full kind of person. He never asked for help or wanted to be a bother to anyone, and no matter how much was on his plate, he was always the first person to offer you support or advice. As well as trying to build up his little business, William wanted to spend his time focusing on everything that made him happy and didn't want to settle for anything less. Woodworking, tinkering on his car, racquetball, brewing beer, watching sports and taking walks with his children and grandchildren. In May 2015, he finished his cancer treatment, and his sister Mary, who had been living with him, moved out so his granddaughter Sadie and her family could move in. And now, after he had finished his last round of chemotherapy, he wanted all the celebrations with his favourite people around him. One month later, June 3rd, 2015, 10:30 p.m. William set out on a late-night walk, just listening to his music and enjoying a minute to himself. He often walked late at night to help him wind down, so he could get a good night's sleep. It was less than a mile from his downtown Loveland home, and a walk he had taken 100 times with his grandchildren. But just before 11 p.m, things would take a quick and dark turn.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Hello, there's a man lying here on the corner of First and St. Louis. He does not appear to be breathing, and he is bleeding uncontrollably.
Do you know why he's bleeding?
No, I have no idea. I just saw him lying here on the sidewalk as I was driving by, and I thought I'd pull over to see if he's doing okay. And
okay. All right, we do have help on the way.
On the corner of First Street and St. Louis Avenue in Loveland, William was found bleeding on the ground. His earphones were still in, music playing. Despite their best efforts, it was too late. William was pronounced dead at the scene. He had been shot at pretty close range with a shotgun, and the wound showed he had been shot at a downward angle, possibly from a moving vehicle. When his granddaughter Sadie got the call from her mom in the middle of the night, she just remembered hearing "Papa's gone" over and over. "Where did he go?" Sadie asked, confused. It was just total disbelief when she realised. She said it just didn't make sense. Why would someone, out of everybody, take my papa's life? William had no enemies, no problems with anyone. Everyone that knew him was just as shocked.
11, a 65-year-old man in Loveland is dead, apparently shot while just walking along a sidewalk.
And Kelly, I just came outside. I was able to speak with police. I'm told the public information officer has not been updated on this case for about 5 hours. They're trying to decide right now how they're going to update the media. They're getting a lot of questions. This is clearly the developing story here in northern Colorado. Also, just a few minutes ago, we had a chance to talk with people who identify themselves as friends and family of the victim. They are clearly distraught, still trying to take this all in. We found them very, very close to the scene itself, a greenhouse at East First Street and Taylor Avenue, 1 to 2 blocks away at the most from where this man, 65 years old, was found just before 11 p.m., shot. Police say he did not survive. Neighbors saying he was also recently in a car accident, lived very close. Also, we're told from residents in this area, this is clearly the #1 discussion among friends and also folks at the grocery store.
Honestly, if someone's shooting around here, I think that would be connected because, like I said, nothing happens around here. I haven't heard a gunshot here in my life.
All his belongings had been with him too, so it wasn't a robbery-related shooting. Was it a case of mistaken identity, perhaps? One of the residents' window faced the intersection when she heard a loud popping sound that night. She saw an old, fairly run-down and rusty light-coloured pickup truck speeding away from the scene. Investigators also learned that just 10 minutes before William was shot, Shots had also been fired at a motorcyclist very close to where William was killed. Donald Chronister had been on his bike and shot at 10:31 p.m. He had been trailed by a truck matching the same description as the one the witness saw. It was an older model, possibly 70s, and a be on the lookout was issued. Fortunately, Donald had escaped without injury, with the bullets just grazing his back, but it seemed as if their suspect was just someone driving around, shooting people at random. Spent shell casings nearby showed them that they were looking for an 18-inch, 12-gauge shotgun in both shootings. Detectives also had a really strong lead with this truck. They just needed some footage from somewhere to hopefully show the driver and or the number plate. A camera on a liquor store showed William strolling along with his big jacket on and hood up. It was 10:41 p.m. No one was following him on foot, and the street looked quiet. Less than 30 seconds later, the pickup truck came into frame, heading in the same direction as William. It looked like the truck was going far slower than it should have been for the road it was on, just like it was following William specifically. Just a minute later, the same truck turned around and came back into the same camera's view, going up a different street at a much quicker speed now. Sadie said that after her grandfather was killed, everything really changed in their once so safe-feeling community. No one played outside anymore, no one walked by themselves, and the streets were pretty much empty as soon as it got dark. The investigating team had pursued over 5,000 leads and conducted over 1,000 interviews. They also looked at 14,000 pickup trucks with similarities to the suspect's vehicle and processed more than 300,000 phone numbers and cleared 12 persons of interest. Although police said these sorts of crimes were rare in Loveland, cyclist John Jacoby had been shot dead on a rural road in Windsor, Colorado on May 18th, and a month before that, Corey Romero was shot in the neck on a major highway near Windsor. Miraculously, she survived. John, Corey, William, and Donald, all four appeared to have been shot from a moving vehicle and within the same 15-mile radius, so was there a link?
Good afternoon. My name is David Moore. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Larimer County Sheriff's Office. I'm also the spokesperson for the Northern Colorado Shooting Task Force. We appreciate everyone being here today to help us share this information with the community. We also appreciate the continued support of the community as investigators work tirelessly to solve these cases. The task force believes these cases will be solved with the help of the community. Shootings number 1 and number 2 both appear to be random in nature and have been linked by forensic evidence. They have not been linked to any other cases under investigation by the task force. Shooting number 3 occurred on June 3rd, 2015 when a person was shot at while riding a motorcycle near Denver Avenue and East 18th Street in Loveland. So here's a map indicating the suspect's direction of travel for shooting number 3 of the person on the motorcycle. Shooting number 4 also occurred on June 3rd, 2015 when Mr. William Connole was shot and killed while standing at the intersection of East 1st Street and North St. Louis Avenue in Loveland. Shootings number 3 and number 4 both appear to be random in nature and have been linked by forensic evidence. They have not been linked to any other cases being investigated by the task force. In June of 2015, the task force released information regarding a vehicle of interest after shootings number 3 and number 4. A depiction of an orange 1973 to 1979 Chevrolet or GMC pickup was released to the public. The question is often raised regarding the possibility the pickup truck has been painted or altered in other ways. The task force has certain characteristics they use to eliminate potential suspect vehicles. However, color is no longer one of them. The task force has received numerous requests from the media regarding crucial evidence in these cases. Those requests include the types of firearms used to commit these crimes, the distances from which they were fired, and the number of times they were fired. The Coloradoan recently requested the task force to confirm that Mr. William Connole was shot at close range with a shotgun from a vehicle. The task force requests that you call the task force tip line at 970-498-5595 or send an email to taskforce@larimer.org with any information you feel may be related to any of these investigations. Please do not assume that the information you have has already been reported to the task force.
Weeks became months, and then it was a year. and finally they got something. Employees at a Loveland bank reported to police that the truck they were looking for matched the description of one they knew. Christopher Parker was the name linked to the truck, and they recognised it because he had caused a commotion in the bank, accusing them of taking his money. According to Christopher's Facebook page, he had owned a reddy orangey old truck in 2015, but after the sketches and Be on the Lookout started circulating, he had painted it white, documenting all of this on social media. When detectives reached his home and found the truck, they could still see patches of the once bright colour showing through the white. The pot of half-used white paint was still sat in his tool shed. Police said he had an arsenal of weapons, had made multiple threats against businesses, and had been placed on a 72-hour hold in a mental health facility. He had made further threats towards the facility. Despite this, though, he did have a very minor criminal record, which included operation of an unsafe vehicle and a misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. Nothing even close to this kind of level of serious crimes they were investigating. Not much is really out there about Christopher, but Chrissy Allen was friends with his cousin and knew him a little bit. She described him as a lonely musician, but she didn't see him get upset or get violent. She added, "He's the kind of profile for a school's mass shooting or something kind of crazy. I still don't want to believe it." Chrissy said it was clear from the last communication she had with him, he was dealing with some mental health issues. Detectives asked him to come and answer some questions and showed him the CCTV. Christopher admitted to being in the area and briefly following Donald on his bike. He also said he saw a person crossing the street, which was likely William, but he seemed to know a lot of information about the shootings that had not been released to the public, such as William having his headphones in. He also admitted that he had purchased a shotgun, but swore he returned it to Walmart the same day he bought it. But Walmart had no record of said return, and a store representative at the time said they had a strict policy against accepting any firearm returns. And on the receipt, a receipt that Christopher had even signed, it clearly stated this rule. The receipt also showed the type of shotgun he'd bought, and it was an exact match to the one they were looking for, an 18-inch, 12-gauge shotgun. The more Christopher talked, the more inconsistencies started to appear in his stories. He then asked for a lawyer, and that was the end of the conversation. He was arrested on March 13, 2018, on suspicion of first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder.
As reported yesterday, on March 13th at 1 p.m., task force investigators arrested Christopher David Parker, a 35-year-old male Loveland resident, for the murder of Mr. William Connole and the attempted murder of a male motorcyclist who escaped injury when he was shot at approximately 15 minutes prior to the death of Mr. Connole on June 3, 2015. This arrest is a result of an extensive 2-year, 8-month investigation.
Keep in mind the Jacobys and all the victims that have been affected by these murders, including this guy's mother. And keep everyone who has been touched by all of this in your prayers, and let's hope that and pray that we'll continue to find more information and bring justice for the Jacobys and the rest of the victims. He was just a guy walking down the street. He was my older brother. He was a father. He was a grandfather. He was like your brother.
And has involved thousands of man-hours. We are not finished.
I just got off the phone with one of William Connole's family members. They tell me police made an arrest in his murder, and we know a 35-year-old man is in custody. He's from Loveland and charged with murder for a date that matches the shooting. Police are not yet confirming the connection or saying if they believe he's the guy behind all 6 shootings.
It's crazy, you know, people are getting technically sniped off I-25, you know.
For months, northern Colorado felt a chill following a string of 6 random shootings in 2015. Despite this distinct sketch of the suspect's orange pickup truck, a $50,000 reward, and task force dedicated to finding the killer, the case went cold. Now, a possible break.
Yes, I did, sir.
This is video of 35-year-old Christopher Parker in court today. He's from Loveland and facing first-degree murder and attempted murder charges.
The crimes police arrested him for happened on June 3, 2015. That is the same date 65-year-old William Connole was shot and killed in Loveland. The same night, a motorcyclist was shot at, but not injured. And there are no records of any other murder or attempted murder in Loveland on that date. The Northern Colorado Task Force has not confirmed the connection with this latest arrest, but they are holding a press conference tomorrow where we hope to learn more.
Despite a huge amount of evidence, a long 5 years would have to tick by before any movement at all. While investigators believed he was responsible for 2 of the now 6 shootings they have been looking into, there is no evidence to suggest, nor is there any information to believe, that Mr. Parker is responsible for the April 22, 2015 shooting of Miss Corey Romero, or for the May 18, 2015 shooting and murder of Mr. John Jacoby. To date, there is also no information or evidence that Mr. Parker is responsible for the September 13, 2015 shooting of an unoccupied school in North Loveland, or the shooting of a second-floor window at on-duty employees that occurred at Banner Health Hospital in Fort Collins that same evening. All 4 of these cases remain open and unsolved.
The task force also made clear they have no evidence to connect Parker to any of the 4 other shootings that rocked Northern Colorado in 2015.
Our next objective is to stand on the footsteps of the Windsor Police Department at some point in the future and deliver the same kind of news that we've been able to solve that homicide as well.
Christopher was later diagnosed with schizophrenia in 2017, and his case was delayed several times as he underwent more mental competency evaluations. Things got longer still when lockdown started. In December 2018, he was declared mentally incompetent to stand trial, so another competency evaluation was ordered. The program he was placed on required mental health officials to report to the courts every 3 months about his state of mind. A few months later, in June 2019, he was yet again declared mentally incompetent and was now refusing to take his medication, but the prosecution were not letting up. David Frank was William's longtime friend, and he said the waiting and being in limbo was mentally draining. "I've been here for 5 years, sitting pretty much in the same spot month after month, year after year. I've been wrapping my head around this for a long time. I can't think of anything worse than taking someone else's life, let alone my best friend."
Man suspected in 2 shootings in northern Colorado was in court this morning.
Finally, in June 2021, Christopher was deemed competent and they could proceed with his trial. He first pleaded not guilty to everything, but the trial would never happen as he changed his plea to guilty of the lesser charge of second-degree murder. The prosecution dropped the attempted murder charges as well. He was facing between 16 and 40 years.
A man from Loveland is starting a nearly 40-year prison sentence tonight for a murder 8 years ago. Christopher Parker pleaded guilty to the killing, part of a series of random shootings in 2015 that triggered a special task force to investigate. Today, a judge sentenced Parker to 39 years. He shot and killed William Connole as he was standing on the side of the street. Parker is also accused of firing at a person on a motorcycle about 15 minutes after that, but that person wasn't hurt. The shootings followed 2 other shootings on roads in Larimer and Weld counties that spring. The earlier shootings are still unsolved, with a $50,000 reward from the FBI still standing.
In June 2023, the now 40-year-old was sentenced to serve 39 years in prison, with the judge giving him the almost absolute max she could, and it was almost exactly 8 years since William had been murdered. Sheriff John Fayen said this outcome delivers justice to a man who terrorised our community, but the irreparable harm he caused can never be reversed. The name of this murderer is not worth repeating, but Mr. Connole's legacy will live on here in Larimer County as we remember the positive impact he made on all who knew him. In terms of any kind of motive, that is still up for speculation, as he has never said why he did what he did that night. It was as random and cold-blooded as you could get. Some detectives think that after John and Corey were shot, and that made the news, Christopher potentially wanted to be a copycat shooter. As well as raising money towards his funeral, William's family planned for memorial contributions and donations be made in his name and go towards a future fund with the Thompson Education Foundation. This would encourage the exposure of elementary-age children in the local school districts to mathematics and science. He loved nothing more than teaching his children and grandchildren everything he knew, and this was a lovely tribute. They were also able to put a bench in his name at the college he graduated from. Mary said Christopher created generations of pain, generations of trauma. William's absence has been thunderous. We have been blown apart. His granddaughter Sadie said even though he isn't with everyone, she still looks up to him. He was and always will be her idol, and the person she models herself on each and every day.